Have you guys heard about Cheki KTN Ushinde promotion?
Have you also heard about the wonderful goodies coming your way?
Stand a chance of winning Xiaomi smartphones, internet bundles, home vouchers, airtime, my bands.
And what you need to do is to tune into KTN Home, send an SMS to 29599 to participate. Keep watching our channel for a chance to answer our trivia questions. Maswali mboga kabisa. Today on Parenting 101, I'm joined by one Dr. Sam, who is a pediatric neurologist. He will be telling us more about these conditions and how best we can raise children suffering from such conditions. Welcome.
Hello everyone, welcome to Parenting 101. Today is a great day, happy, and I'm excited. I'm joined by a doctor. He is a pediatric neurologist and he will be sharing with us more about this profession so that we get to understand more about it. You know, some of these names we just hear, but we don't know what it takes. And he's here with us. Hi, Daktari, how are you today?
Hi, Juliet. I'm fine. And you?
I'm good too. Good to see you today and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Wow. So, Daktari, to start us off, for someone meeting you for the first time, tell us, who is Dr. Sam?
Wow. Like you've mentioned, I'm and maybe easier for everyone is to say I'm a child neurologist professionally. That means that I look after children who have challenges with their brain or their nervous system for one reason or another. But aside from that, I also dabble in health systems work, and I'm a social person, so I'm a family person.
Wow. So in your profession, what do you exactly deal with, and what kind of disorders do you deal with?
Well, you could split that into two. There are challenges that we deal with that we would say are acute, and there are those that are chronic. Speaking to acute diseases or illnesses or ailments, I essentially mean illnesses that afflict children and have a short duration of evolution. Diseases like meningitis, encephalitis, those are inflammation of the linings of the brain or of the brain itself, or even that of the spinal cord or of the nerves. Those usually require hospital admission. They require quick interventions just so that you're able to save a life and to stop further neurological damage. On the other hand, we also deal with chronic illnesses. These are illnesses that are with our children for a much longer time, and they affect their growth, their development, and the way they're able to do things that are natural for you, like taking after themselves, showering and eating. And I speak to diseases like epilepsy, cerebral palsy, or genetic disorders that impair the neurological function in one way or another. It's quite a mouthful, but I'm happy to break it down.
Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, so Daktari, I'm curious to know, so what are these early signs that one should look out for?
Well, for starters, it's good you're bringing out the aspect of development. And a lot of the kids that we get to see with the neurological challenges actually have issues with development. They have a delay in development. And in looking at development, we identify 4 facets. One is motor function that really speaks to how your muscles work, your ability to have your neck upright, to sit upright, and to stand and walk. Then it's also got to do with fine motor, and that now motor function that speaks to how you're able to use your fingers, your hands, your feet, essentially also connecting to the fact that you need to have intact vision to have be able to undertake some of these fine motor activities. Then you pick out things like speech and language, and that has different aspects to it. The first of which has got to do with is the child able to hear? Do they understand simple instructions? Can you send them? Are they able to take more complex instructions, like if we make it two-step, then there's the speech part of it, because you can only speak what you understand. So are they able to say a few words like call out Baba, Mama, and the names of common things around them. So you can see language has both the receptive part and the expressive part. Then finally, it's also got to do with social functioning. Are they functioning socially for their age? Okay. Are they maintaining eye contact? Are they able to play with other kids? Can they try and feed themselves? Have they been potty trained? You know, so all these things speak to the stage of development of a child, and a lot of mothers actually, or rather parents, can tell when things have not gone right, and their first contact would be at the immunization clinic, and such issues can be cascaded to the pediatrician, who, if they feel that there's something more to it, then that's where we get involved. But then there are also other issues that may crop up, like abnormal movements, like convulsions, like headaches, and those are observations that we rely on parents to make.
And Dr. what are the main causes of these neurological disorders? You know, do they start at birth? Do they develop somewhere along the baby's developmental stages? What are these causes?
And that's a good question. Think of it as any other equipment, or a car, for instance. You can buy your car and you realize that it has some manufacturing defect. Or in the process of using your car, you may have an accident here or there, or you may have some mishaps with the mechanic and you get some damage. So those are acquired problems. So in looking at causes of illnesses or neurological illnesses in children, we identify those that are acquired, which you've gotten through life, and those that are congenital or genetic, which is essentially on account of the process of making and forming a being. So again, what that means is that, and what I like to say is that everybody comes out into the world with some spelling mistakes, I would call them. A pimple here that didn't put there, an extra finger, or a patch, and they are what define you as a person. They are what define you as Juliet, or your sister or brother, and make you different. We rely on those spelling mistakes to make the distinction between person A and person B. Otherwise, we'll all look the same. But sometimes some of those mistakes touch on parts of our body that are critical for our function. And so it may be a hole in the heart, it may be a problem with the kidney, it may just be a problem with the brain. Now, you will call that congenital or a genetic brain problem. Congenital means it's happened at the time of birth. By the time of birth, it was apparent. And so genetic means it's got to do with how your genes got together to form the body. So that's one aspect. But then you also realize that a lot of our mothers have challenges giving birth. And so the process of labor may be prolonged. For one reason or another, it may not be as smooth as you expected. And it's such a critical point. The baby needs to get out efficiently and to start breathing, and the transition from the placenta to the outside world. And so when there are challenges with that process, and for one reason or another, the baby does not get enough oxygen, then you suffer brain damage on that account. And that damage then can have lasting lasting neurological problems. So you can see that that's also still related to the process of birth, but it's not necessarily a genetic problem. Then in the course of your existence, a baby may suffer infections that involve the brain, or may be hit on the head for whatever reason, or may have very bad falls, for a myriad of other causes. May take something that is not appropriate, and now those are the acquired illnesses. So I hope I've made some clarity in that mouthful.
Yes, that's so informative, very, very informative. And I believe many parents who are watching are learning a lot. And maybe there's this question whereby someone would be interested to know, you've talked about this period during labor, and most, like, you see, us mothers, we dread that we dread that moment, because most of the conditions that maybe a child may develop, when you trace back, most of them start, or during that time, that labor period, that time of birth. And maybe, is there something that can be done, for us, the parents? Maybe do we need to get to the hospital early? Okay, what really needs to be done? Is there something that can be done so that we can at least reduce those cases at that time?
And that's a beautiful question, and thank you very much for asking that. It's true, a lot of the things can be done by just doing things right during pregnancy or at the point of delivery. And you need a very close relationship with your antenatal care provider, so that you make the necessary clinic visits. And if for instance, you're getting that service from a primary healthcare facility, in case there's any issue, then they can refer you appropriately to an obstetrician to make a determination on how best you can be helped. But that journey starts during pregnancy. That close follow-up, immediately you realize you are expectant, is critical. And that means that process also gets you ready for the process of delivery. That by the time that is happening, people already know if you have some challenges they need to address, where you're going to deliver, if you need certain interventions at the point of delivery, if for instance, you need a cesarean section, or just greater support at that time of delivery. So that's also critical. And the challenge in our country is not everybody can access skilled delivery, and there are rural settings that struggle to even just, for the women struggle to even just access routine antenatal care. And it's such a great thing that the government is intervening to promote universal maternal health services access. That's such a critical link in preventing the complications that I would be later seen as neurological illnesses that we are speaking.
And would you say your interventions in these cases have been, helpful? Are there cases that have recovered fully, and are there cases that take time to heal, and others maybe will not heal completely?
Yeah, and you just put it correct. The cases come in different forms and shapes, and there are certainly some that get better. And in reality, if we use the example of epilepsy, for example, 70% of individuals and children with epilepsy actually recover. And if you provide the appropriate treatment, their seizures or convulsions stop. Then if you look at for children who've had brain damage for one reason or another, and they're not developing very well, there are a variety of interventions that we put in place to support the deficits that are identified. Key to that are interventions like occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, providing the appropriate the support for the developmental systems that are not functioning right to be able to do better than they can. Many times it doesn't come back, it doesn't become perfect, but at least you're able to help the neurological system to adapt to the deficits that it has. So I'll say that the majority of outcomes are positive.
What has been your biggest challenge in this profession in Kenya? Would you say we have enough neurologists in the country? And what is this big thing that you have to deal with day by day?
Well, in truth, we just have a handful of pediatric neurologists in this country. And that means that a lot of children who need that service actually can't access it. And most of those pediatric neurologists are based in urban centers. So you can imagine peripheral towns and rural areas do not have access. That said, there is a problem of resource, that even when you are able to have access, the challenge is in the costs of care, the cost of medication, the cost of the supportive systems that are there, the cost of the diagnostics that are necessary to facilitate appropriate care. So it's only recently that we, for instance, started having one more MRI machines for imaging the brain and the spinal cord in different parts of the country, but there's still limited expertise. All that boils to that. So then because we are a developing country, our diagnostic capacities are also quite limited. And that means that a lot of children are actually treated blindly without definite diagnosis having been made. So that calls for a lot of collaboration. And right now we've just started a neurology training program, which hopefully will result in an increase in capacity in the coming years.
Okay. And what are the hospitals where parents can get these services in Kenya?
Well, at the basic level, obviously, your local sub-county or county hospitals should be able to support you, access appropriate medication and therapy. Then there are the various practitioners. I think that role is available from the medical and dentist board list. And you also have the major private hospitals also providing that service, including hospitals like Gertrude's Children's Hospital, like Akan, Mata, and the various facilities that are around the country should be able to provide you that support. And the practitioners will cascade care to the child neurologist should that be necessary.
Okay. And Dr. as we finish, how can someone reach you in case they need your advice, they see you? How can they reach you? Where are you based?
Well, we have our office at a center at 5th Avenue Suites, and you can reach us through Dorcas at 0712 7199995, or you can also reach me at Gertrude's Children's Hospital. All you need to do is contact the special clinic number, which is usually available on the website. And lastly, we also have an epilepsy and neurological disease outreach program all over the country, and that's also available, the contacts of which are available at the National Epilepsy Coordination Committee website. So all those are ways in which I can be accessed.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. for sharing with us. That was very, very informative, and I believe most parents have learned, and they will be, in case someone is in need of help, they know where to go and know what to do. So thank you so much, and we're looking forward to having you again and again on the show.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Thank
thank you to everyone who's been able to tune into the show. Thank you to our amazing guests that we've had on the show. Patrick, thank you so much for sharing your story. That was a powerful story. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. And the hashtag to use throughout the week is the parenting show. If you have any queries, any story you would want to share on the show, you can share. You can hit us up on our social media handles, on our KTN homepages, or even on my personal handles at Chepchumba. And until next week, please be safe, take good care of yourself, love your children, and yeah, God bless you.